is an example of what happens if you are going to implement what we have just discussed. So this website was like 4 months, and yeah, we started with a technical foundation, of course, and then it was followed by um, keyword mapping and then content planning. And once we have already established and published our content, we proceeded first to Haro outreach. That's the first thing that we did to start establishing the authority because the competitors were very good ones. This is for a project management software and we're just starting out. And then it was followed by um, guest posting, and then we also created like resource pages, tools for and guides for HR, and then we just reached out to like basically every company, their HR department, and then tried to offer it, and we got a lot of links because it was very useful. And then after that, we tried to establish our presence online by doing digital PR, and we've already had our link from Forbes, from CNN, so it was pretty much pretty successful. And if you can see the spike from August until it keeps going up and up steadily, so that's what we want to happen to our website. So if done properly, you may start small, you may start low, but you will keep going up. So don't be scared of your competitors. Close that. Alright, so the last topic that we are going to discuss is about digital PR. So link building makes Google trust you, but digital PR actually makes people trust you because people would mostly be reading like magazines or online news sites rather than separate like blog sites. So together they form the authority loop, visibility that would feed itself and establish your brand. Alright, so these are several tools that you can use for digital PR. So for Haro, we have the free ones. For digital PR, mostly they will be paid, but if you want, you can always find a way. So my favorite right now is actually Olivia Brown AI because it basically gives you everything. You just need a few minutes. So once you put your keywords uh, in the in the dashboard, it will search for journalists that have already written similar topics. And then once you have agreed on that, it will create the press release. And then all you have to do is actually edit it. Because once it has created the press release, it will give you like 5 to 10 options. So you can just choose which one is something that you think would work for you, and then just please make sure to manually do some editing. Do not just send something through AI. And after that, it will let you choose which journalist you would want to send it to. So just choose. Once you're done, you just also check how many days before you're going to send the follow-up. It will create a follow-up for you, and then just click it. It's gonna go live. It will be received by the journalists everywhere. And as far as like hours, you can have your topic picked up by certain journalists. For some, it could take longer days or even weeks, but it is a very, very powerful press release tool. Alright, and if you want to do it manually, what you can do is find journalists that are talking about your niche or your topic. So what you can do is subscribe to Journal Finder maybe for a month and then get the database that you need, and then you could just manually send the emails to the journalists. You are not going to blast them anyway. You're just gonna choose who are relevant for your topic. And if you are, let's say, short on budget, Hunter.io actually has a free cold email tool, so you could just put your campaigns there, choose a template, write your own, and then you could just send it. There's no cost to that. As long as you can sign up to Hunter if you're going to use business email. It doesn't usually accept personal emails. But a lot of things there are free, so you can use it. If you need more, then you can subscribe. Alright, so these are the angles that we have proven to be very effective to journalists. These are data-driven stories. For the data, you don't even have to spend money to get your data. There's a lot of free data from government websites. So like for example, in the UK, NHS, in the US, you could just, it depends on your niche. So you could just ask ChatGPT to give you like a list of government websites because they're always publishing researches, and you could use their research, their statistics for your press release. Just position it properly so it would still cite the government where it came from and do not claim it as your own. Just input your commentary or just put your just give some expert comment about the topic. So yes, that's actually the second one. So say for example as well, September was at the beginning of classes in the UK, and then there's this. It started to rise at the beginning of September about student mental health. So we saw that, and we saw that it was a rising trend, and we immediately like did our research and found several studies about it, and then released the press release that we have created. The thing about digital PR is if you want to get cited, you have to move fast, especially if there is like a exploding topic. People will be writing about it, and if you can, within hours, just send it. If you cannot, within 24 hours at least. Because once you miss like the high trend, by the time that you're gonna send it, it's already going down, so you would have lesser chances of getting picked up by journalists. Right, and of course, yeah, newsjacking is what I've already discussed. Like, if you see like a news that just exploded, then write on that. Use that topic because everybody wants to talk about it. If you are an expert on that topic, just have an expert opinion on it and then send it to journalists. And most likely, they will include you if you are providing something valuable. One campaign that we had before on an exploding topic, we had like 20 links within 24 hours, and then the following week, I think it got like over 50 links. So it was a very powerful campaign, and that's how powerful newsjacking is, and that's why it's actually my favorite. All right, and I know you also see this on Facebook. It is trending, like. Chris Walker, I think. He's always posting about the success stories of people. So it is also trending for PR. So they like the stories, like how you succeeded. But make sure that it is very credible, and you are able to show like a good story that journalists would want to post or to publish. All right, so yeah, for journalists, they prefer pre-packaged stories. When we say pre-packaged stories, you're already giving them the write-up. All they have to do is edit it, and they are able to use or reuse whatever information that you are giving them. So it works because it is very efficient. They don't have to write another story. They just have to double check the facts. And well-structured releases would always contain like data that comes from government sites, and they love that because they know it is very credible data. So at the end, for me, I always include like which government site I actually got the data from. And of course, the ready-to-use elements, like you're already feeding it to them. All they have to do is just eat the story that you're giving them. All right, now for writing a press release, let's just make this short. I will just show you how it looks like. So the headline should be your hook. It should be strong enough to catch the attention of journalists, because when they receive your email, the first thing that they would see is the subject of your email. So if your subject line is, "Do you want to quote us?" they would think it's spam. So you have to make it about the topic that you are writing about, and not just about the topic that you are writing about, but make it intriguing enough for them to open the email. Because no matter how strong your positioning is in the press release, if they will not open your email, it's a loss. Right, now you also need to write a hook. Your first paragraph should explain what happened and why it matters, and then present your evidence immediately or your expert commentary. And then of course, make sure that you also include your bio plus website link, but again, do not make it long. They're not interested about you, they just want to fact check that you are interesting or that you are credible, that you are a credible source. And of course, for the distribution, for Olivia Brown, you can create your own or you can have Olivia Brown do it. Same goes for Muckrack and Crowley. Crowley is cheaper than Muckrack, so Muckrack is often used by the bigger companies or agencies. But you can always, as I've mentioned, conduct manual journalist outreach. The thing is that you do not have to, if you're starting out your brand or your agency or your business, you do not have a lot of resources to spare for marketing or digital marketing. So you have to be creative enough because if you really want it, there would always be a way. So it's not an excuse like, Olivia Brown is too expensive, because you can always find the journalists online. You can always send them manual emails if needed. So you do not have to spend any on that. Right, so yeah, for this one, it's actually a bit funny, but journalists likes these stories. Like, this was from a press release that we did before, the most overworked cities in America, and yes, there are studies that are being made about these things. So we just sent them the data, a very short commentary about it, and yeah, it exploded. It was picked up by journalists, they found it interesting. So interesting is not always a typical news or typical topics that you might think of. Sometimes it's like the cities that has like with the least asleep. So it's, let's just say, you have to think outside the box and you have to be very open-minded with the topics, right? And okay, it's not showing. So this was the email data that we have presented and provided them. And when we are actually sending journalist data, we actually segment them. We have one for national publications, we have one for regional publications, or that is within the state, and we have one that is hyper-local, that's how we call it, that is just within the city. So it depends on how you want to target it. So say for example, we want to promote 4Cs Nomad. Since it is in Chiang Mai, it makes sense to promote it locally first within Chiang Mai before going to Chiang Mai province, before even going to like market it in all of Thailand, because our customer base will be based in Chiang Mai or those who will be visiting Chiang Mai. So that's how we classify the press releases. It depends on your purpose for sending the press release. Right, and for your sign-off, of course, it is not necessary to show them the methodology, but it is important to, of course, show them where you got your data. And sign it off with your name and make sure that you're not using a persona. It is better to use a real person that they can really research and find, because that is more trustworthy. Alright, so it's actually the same for link building, so do not be promotional. We are looking to have our brand published or linked without payment, so don't expect your press releases or your articles to be promotional. Do not say that we are selling this, this, and that. Just be informative and then just try to be as helpful as possible, and the rest will follow. And of course, the timing. Just say for example, here in Thailand, it is the whole country is mourning, so it is not advisable to post something that is like opposite, like celebrating, overly celebrating. So we have to, it is all about timing. Also, say for example, it is already January, it doesn't make sense to be talking or to be discussing something about Christmas. It makes more sense to discuss something that is upcoming, like Valentine's. So that's about timing. And gatekeeping. So for this one, you just need to hook the journalist enough whenever you are trying to pitch. Do not put like a very, very long subject line that would let the journalist know that this is the topic that you want to talk about. So make it, again, as intriguing as possible, and then put everything on your email body. right? And mass emailing, do not send it to everyone, just choose the journalist that you would want to send it to. Okay, so that's about it. We've already discussed this part, including this part. So, a realistic timeline if you are trying to build a brand, it depends on how much time you are going to allocate, of course. Month 1 and month 2 would be the foundations, publishing of content. You would probably start your link building and outreach around the 3rd or 4th month. And 5th and 6th month, that's the time that you start scaling. So you have to be patient. You cannot grow a brand just like overnight. It really takes months, and even for websites that are big, I would say just like Hunter, it took us at least 1 year to have our main product keywords #1 on Google, but it actually paid off a lot because it's been over 3 years and it's still #1. Right. So key takeaways, not just that, but yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, that's the end of the presentation.